YouTubers to my WWE vlog. I am Daniel Parkin, and today I'll be giving you my review of tonight's Monday Night Raw. And a lot happened tonight, so I'm going to get down into it very quickly. The first thing we had was the opening promo in which Triple H came out, rightfully in my opinion, addressing his match with Undertaker at Wrestlemania, saying that he's going to try and end his streak, saying that he'd done all he could in the business. To me, it seemed like a farewell speech. It seemed like this whole career versus streak thing is gearing now because he's going on about him doing everything, and it just seemed like a sort of end of career speech in my opinion. So he cuts about a 10-minute promo, and then all of a sudden Sheamus comes and interrupts, and I'm thinking, yeah, that makes sense. They've had the rivalry in the past. He comes out, and then he gets buried by Triple H. Triple H attacks him, pedigrees him through the announcers table, and it seemed to me like they were trying to use that as like a passing of the feud they had, so they can just go to Undertaker and not worry about the Triple H Sheamus feud, which should be really being used at the moment with Triple H's return. Now, I don't have a problem with this, but I just think they just need to sell it a little bit more than that. Although they did do a good job in selling it, because they pretty much knocked the hell out of Sheamus anyway, and pedigreed him through the announce table, like I said. As Sheamus is getting up and seemingly unconscious and dazed, the Raw GM announces that Sheamus is going to compete tonight despite his condition, and he said that he's going to face a returning superstar, and this returning superstar is Evan Bourne. Now, I was really happy to see Evan Bourne. I know he's a high flyer and he's one of my favourite wrestlers in WWE at the moment. I thought this was brilliant, although the match itself didn't really give too much credit to Evan Bourne. He finishes him off with the airborne, and it's a good way to it's a kind of good way to put him over on his return, as well as to give him an easy match straight after his injury as well. So overall, Sheamus gets buried. I've talked enough about Sheamus getting buried, so I'm just gonna leave it there. I don't agree with him getting buried as a two-time WWE champion, but obviously the WWE don't want to do too much of him. The next segment, which in my opinion was really good build-up to WrestleMania, was Michael Cole coming out to address his possible WrestleMania match with Jerry Lawler. Now, they cut a promo about the match and the inevitability. It's inevitable it's going to happen. So Cole says he's never backed down from a challenge, and that he will have the match on two conditions. Condition number 1, that he can pick a trainer. Condition number 2, that he can pick a special referee. Now, and then Jerry Lawler accepts in an instant. Obviously, he's going to, because he's wanted this match for a long time now. And it turns out that Jack Swagger is Michael Cole's trainer. He's not being used too much on SmackDown, so I guess this is a decent way to use him to try and fuel up the feud a little bit. Basically, he comes out and protects Michael Cole from Jerry Lawler as he tries to get him after Michael Cole slaps Lawler in the face, and in the end, Jack Swagger ends up ankle locking Jerry Lawler. Again, I'll say this is really good for me. We don't know who the special referee is yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be another Cole trick. But we'll see. Hopefully that'll be revealed. And again, this is adding great spice to WrestleMania. This is really good. Another good promo where we see some bit part wrestling. This really good build up for WrestleMania. Now, after that, we see Orton come out to the ring for a match. He cuts a little promo, and then out comes CM Punk to interfere him. It's standard stuff, short 1-minute promos. And the GM sends an email saying that it will be Orton and Punk at WrestleMania, but in the coming weeks, Orton will compete in matches against the 3 members of Nexus, and if he wins the matches, Nexus are not allowed at ringside. And today he was going to have a match with Micheal McGillicutty, who I'm just going to call Joe Hennig, because I'm fed up of calling him Mike McGillicutty. So yeah, he has a match with Micheal McGillicutty, Joe Hennig, and he beats him with an RKO. It's a pretty boring. It's a pretty boring match, to be honest, but he wins with an RKO, and to me this just says that it's going to be one-on-one at WrestleMania. I can't see Orton losing to any member of Nexus, and at the end, Randy Orton manages to punt Hennig in the head. So Hennig is, in my opinion, probably off back to FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling. But there we go. Again, good way to add spice to the WrestleMania match, and they've done this in a really unique way, in my opinion, and it was really good how they've done this as well. So that hopefully this will be a good match at WrestleMania. It will be CM Punk versus Randy Orton in a one-on-one match, no doubt. I'm guessing they'll be using the Nexus in another angle at some point at WrestleMania. I don't know yet. So yeah, and that was also the first match of the night. As of yet, we'd had no wrestling matches. We had some fights in the ring, but that was it. That was the first match of the night. I'll go on to more about the matches than the wrestling later on in the video, my overall thoughts. We then had The Miz come out for a promo. He pretty much bitches about it being all about Cena and Rock, and the fact that he's not getting a response from The Rock. Then out comes John Cena, and he pulls his jokes, and his jokes about obsessive compulsive disorder and stuff. It's all very childish in my opinion, but basically what this leads to is a match between Alex Riley and John Cena. And if Cena wins, Alex Riley is fired from being the Miz's accomplice, or apprentice, whatever he is. But if Alex Riley wins, John Cena has to publicly say that the Miz is the best superstar. In my opinion, this just reeked of stupidity. I don't see why they did this. It didn't really do much for me, and I don't see why they made this stipulation. It was the main event as well, which it kind of says to me that you've got to really do a lot to it, and this stipulation just really didn't do too much to me. And I was straight away I was thinking Cena's winning this. We all know Cena's going to win, and Alex Riley's going to be fired as Mrs. Accomplished, and hopefully this will lead his singles career. I don't think it will, but I hope it does. The GM comes on in the email. We had a lot of the GM tonight, and he makes it a steel cage match to ensure no outside interference. I'll go on more about why I did the quote marks there when the match comes. And then we have a Divas Battle Royal match. I'm going to spend as little time on this as possible. A Battle Royal match with the number one contender for the match. Where was Beth Phoenix? Where is Lacol? Why did Natalya get eliminated so early? Why did the Bella Twins win? Why did the Bella Twins win? They had Gail Kim versus one of the Bellas. They could have put Gail Kim over, but they didn't. Who really gives a shit anymore about the Divas division? It was such a joke match, and it was way too quick. It was just so badly done, in my opinion. Bellas are the number one contenders. The Bella Twins are the number one contenders for the Divas title. I think that just says it all, really. That's all I'm going to say about the Divas. Next thing. We then have The Rock's promo. He comes in from a live satellite from his home, basically to try and respond to what John Cena said, and he makes fun of how he dressed him in the form of a rap. It says there'll be consequences for Cena, and that he insulted him and his family, that his love for the WWE, and that he will be addressing John Cena sooner than John Cena thinks. So hopefully this will lead to some sort of confrontation between them two on another Raw or whatever. Again, I'd love to see that. But overall, I just think, although I like The Rock and his promos are really good usually, this was a little bit underwhelming for me. Like I said, I love The Rock, but he beat about the bush. It accomplished his rivalry with Cena, but what's it adding to WrestleMania? He's not going to have a match with John Cena. What's it adding to WrestleMania? What's it adding to the main event? Hopefully we'll see what he's going to add to it. But at the moment we don't really know. Is he going to be a referee? I know he's the guest host, but what's going to happen? What is he going to add? And what are these bouncing back and forth promos going to add, apart from a rivalry between them two, which is never really going to see the wrestling ring unless it's a confrontation. So yeah, that was just my opinion on The Rock's promo. If you have any different opinions, which I'm sure you might do, just don't leave them in the comment section below, of course. Then we see Daniel Bryan coming out to the ring, and The Miz comes and attacks him. Random, really random. But I think that the WWE did this was because time was running short for the main event, and they had to do something to cut the match time. And plus, it meant that Miz was already out there for the match as well. So that's all I've got to say about that. It was something short, and it was something really pointless that they could have done without, but they were trying to save time, I guess. We also see, during Raw, we also see a Shawn Michaels interview type thing, which is kind of trying to hype the Triple H Undertaker match for WrestleMania. it was kind of like from the heart, and it was a good interview, but to me it didn't do too much. Although it served its purpose in a way, it didn't really do too much. Although it did go, it was a good interview. It just didn't do too much in my opinion. But that again is just my opinion. Will Shawn Michaels be the special guest referee? I thought there might be some sort of hint in this interview, but obviously not. Hopefully we'll see some more from Shawn Michaels maybe later on, but I thought this might just hint to a special referee for Shawn Michaels, but obviously not. We then get the main event match, which in my opinion was so stupid. I just don't see why they did it. The stipulation was stupid. It was so badly booked. It was a cage match. These cage matches are supposed to be good. You have Alex Riley, who is gonna job to John Cena in a cage match. And the great thing about this match is you have Miz at ringside, and he's tweeting and he's taking pictures, and and it just gets stupid when the steel cages are there to keep the Miz out. The GM said that it was going to be no interference in this match. And the Miz interferes constantly, which after a while just got funny, and he got his phone out and started taking pictures of The Rock. He gave his phone to Alex Riley, who hit Cena with the phone. I've never seen a phone used in a match before. But obviously, as we all probably guessed, John Cena wins the match. Basically, he FUs Alex Riley in the ring. And then, as he goes to the door, Miz tries to shut the door, but John Cena uses all his strength to get out, because we all know he's Superman. He's got unlimited amounts of strength. And afterwards, the Miz attacks him with the skull-crushing finale. Kind of gets the last laugh. Doesn't seem to really give a crap about Alex Riley being fired as his accomplice, but I guess that's not going to really matter that much. I don't think they're really going to take that stipulation too seriously anyway, so I'm not going to say too much about that. So the stipulation means that A-Rai was fired as the Miz's apprentice. John Cena wins the match. The Miz gets the upper hand, and to be honest, I'm not surprised the Miz is so frustrated. He is the champion, and it just seems to be about Rock Cena at the moment. I suppose that is kind of a good way of building up WrestleMania again, in the way that you've got this whole Rock Cena thing going. Will Cena take his eye off the ball with him, Miz being also there and the Rock being there. So overall, it's looking like it's going to be. To me, it looks like it's really going to be a great WrestleMania, and this Raw really did well to hype that up a lot, in my opinion. But to me, I thought the first hour of overall thoughts now. By the way, for me, I thought that first hour of Raw was really good. There was a lot of good segments. Although there wasn't too much wrestling, it really did a good job. But it fell a little bit in the second hour, in my opinion. This was mainly because of the addition of the Divas match and the endless promos. There was hardly any wrestling tonight, which I think really hurt the card a lot. Or it really hurt the Raw event a lot. But like I said, it's done a really good. I guess this Raw was supposed to be hype for WrestleMania, and it did that really successfully. Although it severely lacked in matches, which I thought hurt the show, like I've said. And I think that's pretty much all I've got to say about tonight's Raw. Tonight I'll say Raw was okay in the segments. The segments were good, but the lack of matches kind of makes it a little bit bad to watch for someone who actually likes to see wrestling matches, as opposed to sports entertainment promos and stuff, which was obviously their prime role today to get WrestleMania hyped up. So that's my opinions of Raw. What are your opinions of Raw? What are your opinions of what happened, and the segments and the hype to WrestleMania? Leave your thoughts, questions, anything you've got for me in the comment section below. And don't forget, you can catch me on Twitter. My Twitter is Daniel_Parkin, and my Tumblr, where I update regular WWE blogs, is Daniel Parkin. So I thank you very much for watching this Raw review, and I will see you soon. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.